We're not going to your village mother's funeral. That's below our family's level, Igor said sharply. His voice was like a whip, and I dropped my phone in shock. It had just delivered the worst news. My mom had died. My one and only beloved mother. She raised me alone in a small town, gave everything she had so I could study in the capital. Are you deaf? Igor snapped, seeing me frozen in place. I said we're not going anywhere. I have an important investor meeting tomorrow. And you want me to go to some village for a woman who hasn't visited us in 5 years. I stared at the man I married 4 years ago, and I didn't recognize him anymore. Where was the sweet, young guy who once promised me eternal love? Now he was a polished 35-year-old man in a designer suit, with perfect hair and a cruel smirk on his face. Igor, she was my mother, I said, my voice shaking. She died alone, from a heart attack. So what? He said, fixing the cufflinks on his $50,000 shirt. Masha, I'm the deputy director of a big company. I can't be seen at the funeral of some cleaning lady from a poor town. What will my business partners think? What will my golf club friends say? Cleaning lady. He called my mother a cleaning lady. Yes, she used to clean hospital floors to feed me after my dad died. But to me, she was the most important person in the world. She hasn't been a cleaner in years, I whispered, wiping away my tears. She became a senior nurse. What's the difference? Igor said, pouring himself a glass of whiskey. Cleaner, nurse, all the same. They're service people. People like us don't mix with them. And I hope you're not telling anyone at work where you really come from. Everyone thinks you're from a respectable Moscow family. I thought back to when I met Igor. 5 years ago, I came to Moscow with just one suitcase and big dreams. I graduated from university with honors. My mom worked 2 jobs to pay for my education. I got hired as an accountant at a small finance firm. That's where I met Igor. He was just starting too, a sales manager. I remember our first talk in the office kitchen. Are you new? He asked, stirring his coffee. I'm Igor, sales department. Masha, accounting, I said shyly. He was so kind and charming back then. He brought me coffee, helped me with the printer, stood up for me when the bosses were rude. What does it matter where you're from? He said after our first date, kissing my hands. What matters is we're together. You're so honest and real. It's refreshing. How naive I was. I believed every word. I was falling for his attention. My mom noticed something was wrong the first time she met Igor. Daughter, she said when we were alone in the kitchen, he's not who he says he is. There's coldness in his eyes. His smile isn't real. Mom, you're just jealous, I said, upset. Igor is a wonderful man. He loves me. But everything changed after Igor got promoted. First, he became the head of his department. His salary tripled, and he got his own company credit card. He bought himself fancy suits and joined an expensive gym for rich people. Masha, you need to match my level now, he told me. A manager's wife shouldn't wear cheap dresses from regular stores. Then he became deputy director, and our whole lifestyle changed. We started going to expensive restaurants, where one tiny plate cost more than my weekly pay. He took me to a golf club in the countryside that charged 1,000,000 rubles just to join. We met his new high society friends, who looked right through me like I didn't exist. Masha, buy yourself a proper dress from Dior, he would say before another event. And try not to talk too much. Your village accent comes out, especially when you're nervous. I did everything I could to please him. I bought expensive clothes. I took speaking lessons. I learned fancy manners. I tried so hard to become the perfect wife for a successful businessman. But inside, I was losing myself. I'm going, I said firmly one day, standing up from the couch. This is my mother. I have to say goodbye to her. Igor laughed coldly, swirling his whiskey. Go then, if you want to embarrass yourself. But don't expect a single ruble from me for that funeral. Let your village relatives pay. And forget about using my car. I don't want my Mercedes seen in some dump. Take the train like the rest of your people. Igor, how can you be so heartless? I asked, shocked. We're husband and wife. We're family. He laughed again. Masha, open your eyes. You're just an accessory for me. I picked you up out of the dirt and gave you a life you could never dream of. And now you're whining about your little village and your mother? I'm tired of it. I went to the bedroom silently and started packing. My hands were shaking with anger and hurt. Had I really spent 4 years with someone this cruel? Memories flooded my mind. How Igor always looked annoyed when my mom called me on video, how he refused to visit her. Why sit in some village? Let's fly to Dubai instead, he said. How he rolled his eyes when I gave him the small gifts Mom sent. Jars of homemade jam, knitted socks. Ugh, more of this country junk. Just throw it out when she's not looking. Then he shouted from the other room. And if you stay longer than 2 days, don't bother coming back. I have a company event in Switzerland next week. I don't need a wife who chooses a village funeral over her husband's career. Honestly, I'm sick of your small-town ways. Either you completely forget where you came from, or we're getting a divorce. I stopped in the bedroom doorway and slowly turned around. You know, Igor, I said, my mom always told me you weren't who you pretend to be. She said you were using me, that all you cared about was money and status. I didn't believe her. I thought she was just being overprotective and jealous. I defended you. I even fought with her because of you. I shook my head. How wrong I was. Your mother said a lot of things. Igor suddenly shouted, slamming his glass down. She was always giving me advice, trying to tell me how to live. A village woman who spent her life mopping floors, and she thought she could tell a successful businessman what to do. Do you know what she told me the last time we spoke? That I'm not good enough for her daughter. Me? Not good enough for some provincial girl. She was right, I said softly. Then I shut the bedroom door, packed my things, and cried. Not just because my mother had died, but because everything I believed in for the past 4 years had collapsed. I had lived with a man who hated everything important to me, who was ashamed of my background, and I had foolishly tried to change myself for him. On the train, I pulled out my phone and called Elena Petrovna, my mom's best friend. Mashenka, sweetheart, she cried. How can this be? Ladaka was still so young. Just 52. Yesterday evening, she felt sick at work and collapsed in the hallway. They called an ambulance, but it didn't get there in time. They say it was a massive heart attack. Aunt Lena, I'll be there tomorrow morning, I said. Tell me what's needed for the funeral. I have some money saved, hidden from my husband when we went to Thailand. Don't worry about money, dear, she said. Your mother, well, we'll talk when you get here. But don't be surprised if there are a lot of people waiting for you at the station. Her words sounded strange, but I didn't ask questions. My head was pounding, my heart broken. Mom was gone. I didn't even know she was sick. The last time we talked was maybe a month or 2 ago. But Igor didn't like it when I spent too much time talking to her. You're always talking about that village, he'd say, annoyed. Educated people have better things to discuss than pickles and neighbor gossip. When I arrived in my hometown, it was raining hard and the wind was cold. But there really were a lot of people waiting at the station. I was surprised. Is everyone meeting the train from Moscow? I wondered. Maria Sergeevna? A well-dressed man stepped forward. I'm Pavel Nikolaevich, he said. Head doctor at the city hospital. Please accept our condolences. Lydia Ivanovna wasn't just a great worker, the head doctor said. She was the heart of our team. Aunt Lena stood next to him. She was around 50, a warm-looking woman with kind eyes, still wet from crying. Mashenka, she said, pulling me into a hug. My poor girl, you came all by yourself. Where's your husband? He had work. I lied. Not ready to tell the truth. An important meeting he couldn't cancel. Aunt Lena looked at me closely. I could tell. She knew the truth. Mom must have told her everything about Igor. We were driven home in a small convoy of cars, including a brand new minivan. Aunt Lena, what's going on? I asked. Why are there so many people? Mashenka, she said gently, your mother was a very special person. There's so much you didn't know. She didn't want to bother you. She didn't want to interfere with your life in Moscow. As we drove, I looked out the window and was shocked at how much had changed. New roads, modern buildings, clean parks. It looked nothing like the town I left 5 years ago. What's that building? I asked, pointing to a big glass complex. That used to be just an empty lot. That's a children's medical center, the head doctor said proudly. The best in the region. German equipment, top specialists from Moscow. All thanks to your mother. I sat there in silence, not understanding. What did Mom have to do with it? When we reached our house, there were even more cars parked outside. People in black, carrying flowers, whispering. A young woman, maybe 18 years old, was sitting on the porch, a thin blonde with a tired face and red, swollen eyes. This is Katia, Aunt Lena said. She helped take care of your mom this past year when her heart started giving her trouble. Helped around the house, too. Katia stood up and shook my hand. Lydia Ivanovna talked about you all the time, she said softly. She showed me all your photos. She was very proud of you. She said, Mashenka is smart and beautiful, but unlucky with her husband. Inside, the house smelled of valerian drops and fresh baked goods. Neighbors had made pies for the memorial gathering. On the table, I saw a photo of my mom in a black mourning frame. She was smiling gently, just like always, kind and a little sad. Next to it were some documents I hadn't noticed at first. Sit down, Mashenka, Aunt Lena said, placing a cup of tea in front of me. There's a lot you need to know. It's a long story. She reached into a drawer and handed me a letter. Your mother asked me to give you this if something ever happened to her. I took the envelope with trembling hands. I recognized her handwriting instantly. She had used her favorite lilac ink. My dear daughter, the letter began. If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything before. I was afraid that money would change our relationship, that you might start seeing me differently. And I was afraid of your husband. I've known people like him, greedy, cold, willing to do anything for money. I kept reading, eyes wide. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Uncle Sasha, my cousin, died 10 years ago. Remember I told you about him? He moved to Germany back in the 90s and worked with medical equipment. He had no children, and his wife passed away young. He left his entire fortune to me, and it was a lot of money. At first, I didn't want it. I was just a simple nurse. Suddenly, I had millions of euros. I didn't know what to do. But then I thought, this is my chance to help people. So I started a company here in Russia that makes medical equipment. It was small at first, just a little workshop and 10 employees. But it took off quickly. Turns out, I had a head for business. Who would have thought? In 8 years, that small company became a big one, MedTechProm. That's what it's called. The main office is in Moscow, and we have factories in several cities. I was so shocked, the cup slipped from my hands. Hot tea spilled on the table.
What? How?
Aunt Lena, is this true? It's all true, my dear, she said. Your mom became a successful businesswoman over the past 8 years, but she stayed humble and kind. She lived in the same little house, wore simple clothes, and helped everyone who needed it. She put almost all her profits into improving healthcare in this town. She built a new hospital, bought the best equipment, and brought in talented young doctors from Moscow. She paid them capital-level salaries. But why didn't she tell me? I whispered. Why did she keep saying she worked at the hospital? She did work at the hospital, Katia said, smiling gently. She still took shifts as a nurse twice a week. She said she never wanted to lose touch with medicine or with ordinary people. And she didn't tell you about any of this because she wanted to protect you. She was afraid of your husband, Aunt Lena added quietly. She knew he was selfish. She thought if he found out about the money, he'd make your life a nightmare. She really worried about your husband, said a man in his 40s who stepped into the room. He wore an expensive suit and had a serious but kind expression. Sorry, I'm Andrei Petrovich Krulov, the executive director of MedTechProm. Your mother trusted me to run the company for her. She told me she believed Igor married you for his own selfish reasons. He thought you were just a simple girl from a poor background, and that's exactly why he married you, Andrei added sadly. He wanted a pretty, obedient wife, someone he could control. A girl from a wealthy family would never have put up with him. I covered my face with my hands. Mom, my sweet, Wise mom. She saw it all. She knew. And she protected me, even if it meant staying lonely herself. She could have moved to Moscow, lived near me, but she stayed here to keep the truth hidden from Igor. The notary will come tomorrow, Aunt Lena said. He'll read the will. But I already know Lita left everything to you. The house. The company. The bank accounts. You're a very wealthy woman now, Masha. Your fortune is in the billions. Billions. That word didn't feel real. It sounded made up. What difference do billions or pennies make if mom's gone? And the company, Medtechprom. I've heard that name before. I mumbled. Of course you have, said Andrei Petrovich. We're one of the biggest suppliers of medical equipment in the country. Top hospitals and clinics are our clients. Including your husband's company, by the way. Medtechprom, I whispered. Yes, Andrei nodded. Igor mentioned us many times, I'm sure. He said we were a major client. Half of Invest Med Group's profits depend on our contract. He always talked about some mysterious CEO, I said slowly. He said no one had ever seen them in person. Everything was handled through company reps. I pulled out my phone and searched for Medtechprom. The first result was their official website. I clicked it. Annual revenue. Several billion rubles. Main clients. State hospitals and private clinics. Partners. I froze. One of the listed partners was Invest Med Group, Igor's company. Andrei Petrovich noticed my face. Maria Sergeyevna, are you okay? You've gone pale. I'm fine, I said softly. My husband, he's the deputy general director of Invest Med Group. He and Aunt Lena exchanged a knowing glance. Igor Volkov? That's your husband. Andrei raised his eyebrows. Very interesting. What do you mean? I asked. Your mother was planning to cancel their contract, he said.
What?
Why? Because Mr. Volkov demanded kickbacks, big ones, Andrei said calmly. He said if we didn't pay, he'd take the business somewhere else. And what did my mom say? I asked, already knowing the answer. She laughed, he smiled. Said, let him try. He won't find better prices or conditions than ours. Just then my phone rang. It was Igor. I rejected the call. A minute later, a message popped up. Masha, stop acting crazy. Come back right now. There's an important meeting tomorrow. You need to be there, smiling and looking like a happy wife. This is important for my career. I turned the phone off. Let him worry. The rest of the day passed in a blur. People came, hundreds of them. Doctors, teachers, workers. They all spoke about my mother with deep love and respect. I listened in disbelief. I had no idea. She helped so many people. She paid for children's treatments, gave scholarships to med students, supported young families, built playgrounds. If it weren't for Lydia Ivanovna, my daughter wouldn't be alive. One woman cried. Stage 4 cancer. The doctors here gave up. Your mom found a clinic in Germany, paid for everything. That was 6 years ago. My daughter is healthy now and goes to school. And thanks to her, my son became a heart surgeon, said an older man. He's very gifted, but we're just regular workers. We couldn't afford medical school. She found out and called him in. Said, study. I'll pay for it. Now he works in the regional hospital, saving lives. Story after story. So many lives changed. And all I could think was, the woman Igor once called a worthless cleaner had done more good than he ever would. That evening, I was sitting in my mother's office. I didn't even know she had won. Just a small room in the house, filled with folders and papers. There was a computer on the desk, a couple of phones, and even a fax machine. The walls were covered with diplomas and thank you letters. She was an honorary citizen of the city and had won Philanthropist of the Year for her help in improving healthcare. And then I saw the photos. Photos of me. Everywhere. There I was, a little girl in first grade, holding a huge bunch of asters. There I was, graduating school with a gold medal. Me again, finishing university with honors. At my wedding, my mother standing next to me, smiling, but there was worry in her eyes. On a separate shelf was a photo album titled My Pride. I opened it. Inside were all my achievements, even the small ones. A certificate from a poem recital in 3rd grade.
I had completely forgotten about that.
A diploma from a 7th grade math competition. A letter from my first job, praising my work. And next to it, my mom's handwritten notes. Well done, daughter. I'm proud of you. You can get through anything. The last page had a wedding photo and a note. Be happy, my love. I hope I'm wrong about him. I couldn't hold back the tears. Mom followed my every step. She celebrated every success, worried about every failure. And me? I pushed her away. I was embarrassed by her simple ways. I got annoyed when she called. The last time I visited was a year ago. Igor rushed me to Moscow for just one day. Mom baked my favorite apple pie, set the table, waited for me. But I kept checking the time, thinking how Igor would get mad if I stayed too long. In one of her desk drawers, I found a bundle of letters, my old letters to her. She had saved them all, even the tiny notes. Then I found her letters to me, one she wrote but never sent. Daughter, I want to hug you so badly, but I'm afraid to get in the way of your new life. Mashenka, I saw you on TV at a formal event. You looked so beautiful, but you also looked sad. My dear, I feel something is wrong. Please come home. Your roots are here. Your strength is here.
Just then my phone rang.
It was an unknown number. A calm, respectful male voice said, Maria Sergeyevna? This is Viktor Pavlovich Semenov, CEO of InvestMed Group. Please accept my condolences. I just heard about the death of Lydia Ivanovna. She was a remarkable woman. Thank you, I replied. Did you know my mother? Unfortunately, no, he said. I never met her face to face. She always did business through her team. But in the business world, she was known for her honesty, integrity, and reliability. Rare qualities these days. He paused, then added, Forgive me if this is a bit forward, but I need to warn you. Does your husband know about your connection to Lydia Ivanovna? No, he doesn't. Be careful, the man said. Igor Alexandrovich is a complicated person. Ambitious, tough, and not afraid to use dirty tricks. Once he finds out about your inheritance, he could act in unpredictable ways. If I were you, I'd think about your safety and get some good lawyers. It was a strange warning, especially coming from Igor's own boss. But honestly, it wasn't that surprising. I could imagine Igor acting the same way at work. Thank you for the warning, Viktor Pavlovich. Can I ask something? If you knew what he was like, why did you keep working with him? Business, Maria Sergeyevna. Sadly, he brings in profit. For now, at least. But if Medtechprom breaks the contract with us, his career could crash quickly. After the call, I sat in the dark thinking. Mom didn't just leave me money. She left me a weapon. A way to protect myself from a man who had disrespected her memory and treated me horribly for 4 years. Should I use the inheritance to get revenge? What would Mom say? I already knew the answer. She never took revenge, but she never let anyone walk over her either. Defend yourself, she used to say, but don't sink to their level. The day of the funeral was bright and sunny, strange for October. It felt like the world was giving Mom one last warm goodbye. The church was packed. You couldn't even move. The whole town was there, and not just locals. Partners came from Moscow, St. Petersburg, even other countries. Rich businessmen stood beside cleaners and janitors. Death made everyone equal. It reminded them what really matters. The priest spoke kindly. Lydia Ivanovna was a true Christian. She had the rare gift of staying humble, even with success. She never showed off her wealth. She never turned away from those who needed help. She gave quietly, expecting nothing in return. I stood by her coffin and looked at her peaceful face. She looked like she was just asleep. In her hands were her favorite white roses, the ones she grew in her garden. Forgive me, Mom, I whispered. Forgive me for ignoring you, for listening to him, not you, for being ashamed of you, for trying to be someone else. You gave me everything, and I forgot that. Andrei Petrovich stood beside me and said softly, Don't blame yourself. Lydia Ivanovna loved you deeply.
She always talked about you.
She'd show me photos and say, My Mashenka is golden. She's just going through a dark phase, but she'll come out of it. His words healed something in me. Mom had believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Later, at the cemetery, Viktor Pavlovich, the same man from the call, came over. He was tall, gray-haired, and had kind eyes. Maria Sergeyevna, he said, again, my deepest condolences. I'm sorry to bring this up now, but I need to warn you again. This morning, your husband made a scene at the office. He yelled that you set him up, that because of you he's losing a big contract. Then he started digging, asking questions about Medtechprom and who runs it. I let out a tired breath. Let him find out, I said quietly. I don't care. Don't be careless, he said. Igor is furious right now, and when he's like this, he's capable of anything. Do you have any security? I shook my head. I'll arrange it, he said. Quiet but reliable. And listen, don't sign any papers, no matter what he says. It was strange to hear such concern from someone who was almost a stranger. Or maybe not a stranger after all. After the funeral, the closest friends and family came to my mom's house. There were so many people, we had to put tables out in the yard. It was a simple gathering, nothing fancy. Just home-cooked food and kind words. People shared memories about my mom, told stories, laughed through tears. They cried, then laughed again. That's how she was, full of life. When she was around, you wanted to live more too. Later in the evening, when only a few people were left, an elderly notary arrived. He wore an old-fashioned suit and had a calm, intelligent face. I'm sorry to come on a day like this, he said. But Lydia Ivanovna was very clear. She wanted the will read right after the funeral. She was afraid of some people. The will was written carefully, covering every little detail. Everything was left to me, the house, the bank accounts. The amount of money took my breath away. But the most important part? The controlling shares in Medtechprom. Then came the part that made everyone look up in surprise. If my daughter Maria Sergeyevna is married to Igor Alexandrovich Volkov at the time of inheritance, control of the company will temporarily go to Executive Director Andrei Petrovich Krulov until the marriage ends or a legal agreement is signed protecting my daughter's interests. Your mother was thinking about your safety, the notary explained. She worried that Mr. Volkov might try to get his hands on her fortune through you. So she added this condition. He also handed me a thick folder. She asked me to give this to you if needed. I opened it and couldn't believe what I saw. Contracts, receipts, audio recordings, evidence of Igor's shady business, kickbacks, fake companies, tax fraud. Was she tracking him all this time? She was protecting you, said Andrei Petrovich quietly. She collected all this just in case he ever tried to hurt you. Lydia Ivanovna was smart. She hoped for the best, but prepared for the worst. After the funeral, I turned my phone back on. It blew up immediately. 20 missed messages from Igor. I looked at the latest ones. Where the hell are you?
Pick up.
I know everything about your mom. We need to talk. You had no right to keep this from me.
Come home.
Let's talk calmly. And the last one? Masha, sweetheart, I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
Your mother was a great woman. I lost control. Please come back. We'll figure it out. I love you. From hate to love, just like that. Or maybe from rage to love in a few billion-dollar steps. I don't care. Don't be careless, he said. Igor is furious right now. And when he's like this, he's capable of anything. Do you have any security? I shook my head. I'll arrange it, he said. Quiet but reliable. And listen, don't sign any papers, no matter what he says. It was strange to hear such concern from someone who was almost a stranger. Or maybe not a stranger after all. After the funeral, the closest friends and family came to my mom's house. There were so many people, we had to put tables out in the yard. It was a simple gathering, nothing fancy. Just home-cooked food and kind words. People shared memories about my mom, told stories, laughed through tears. They cried, then laughed again. That's how she was, full of life. When she was around, you wanted to live more too. Later in the evening, when only a few people were left, an elderly notary arrived. He wore an old-fashioned suit and had a calm, intelligent face. "I'm sorry to come on a day like this," he said. But Lydia Ivanovna was very clear. She wanted the will read right after the funeral. She was afraid of some people. The will was written carefully, covering every little detail. Everything was left to me, the house, the bank accounts. The amount of money took my breath away. But the most important part? The controlling shares in MedTouchProm. Then came the part that made everyone look up in surprise. If my daughter Maria Sergeyevna is married to Igor Alexandrovich Volkov at the time of inheritance, control of the company will temporarily go to Executive Director Andrei Petrovich Krulov until the marriage ends or a legal agreement is signed protecting my daughter's interests. Your mother was thinking about your safety, the notary explained. She worried that Mr. Volkov might try to get his hands on her fortune through you. So she added this condition. He also handed me a thick folder. She asked me to give this to you if needed. I opened it and couldn't believe what I saw. Contracts, receipts, audio recordings, evidence of Igor's shady business, kickbacks, fake companies, tax fraud. Was she tracking him all this time? She was protecting you, said Andrei Petrovich quietly. She collected all this just in case he ever tried to hurt you. Lydia Ivanovna was smart. She hoped for the best, but prepared for the worst. After the funeral, I turned my phone back on. It blew up immediately. 20 missed messages from Igor. I looked at the latest ones. Where the hell are you?
Pick up.
I know everything about your mom. We need to talk. You had no right to keep this from me.
Come home.
Let's talk calmly. And the last one? Masha, sweetheart, I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
Your mother was a great woman. I lost control. Please come back. We'll figure it out. I love you. From hate to love, just like that. Or maybe from rage to love in a few billion-dollar steps that I showed the message to Andrei Petrovich. He frowned. He recognized the signs. He's going to try everything now to get you back, he said. Are you going to Moscow?
Yes. Tomorrow.
I need to pack and file for divorce. I'm going with you, he said firmly. And the security team too. Don't argue. I promised Lydia Ivanovna I'd protect you. But I'm an adult. I can take care of myself, I replied. Maria Sergeyevna, he said, serious. You don't understand what people are capable of when there's that much money involved.
Your husband is cornered now.
His career is falling apart. And you're leaving, taking his company's biggest client with you. A desperate man is dangerous. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my old childhood bedroom. Mom hadn't changed anything. Even the teddy bear was still on the shelf, like it was watching me, thinking how strange life turned out. Just 3 days ago, I was the wife of a successful businessman who was ashamed of my simple background. Now, I was one of the richest women in the country. I owned a huge company, and I was completely alone. My mother was gone. My husband, well, he had become someone I couldn't even recognize. The phone rang. A message from an unknown number. Maria Sergeyevna, this is Elena Volkova, Igor's mother. Sorry for the late hour. I really need to speak with you. It's about your safety. Igor's mother. We'd only met a few times. She was a powerful woman, always cold, always distant. She looked at me like I was nothing. What did she want from me now? The next morning, before I left for Moscow, I met her at a cafe. She looked different this time, not her usual polished self. She seemed lost, even nervous. Thank you for coming, she said. I know you have every reason to hate me. I treated you terribly. I thought you weren't good enough for my son. She sighed. But how ironic. He turned out to be the one who wasn't good enough for you. What did you want to tell me? I asked cautiously. Elena Arkadyevna, that was her name, looked down. Igor lost control after hearing about your inheritance. He came to me last night, demanded money for lawyers. Said you had to share. That he deserves half. I said no, I don't have that kind of money. Then he threatened you. Said they'd make you give it all up by any means necessary. What are you talking about? I asked. I raised a monster, she whispered, covering her face with her hands. I spoiled him. Told him he was special. that he could do anything. And when he found out the world didn't revolve around him, he became cruel. Maria, she said, looking me in the eye, please don't go back to Moscow. He's planning something. I can feel it. Her warning didn't scare me. It made me stronger. I wasn't going to run. My mom never ran from her problems, never used money to hide from the world. And I wouldn't either. We drove to Moscow in 2 cars. I rode with Andrei Petrovich. The security team followed in the second car. On the way, Andrei talked about the company, development plans, current challenges. I listened, but my mind was elsewhere, thinking about the talk I'd soon have with Igor. When we arrived, the apartment felt too quiet, too clean. Something wasn't right. Igor was sitting in the living room, freshly shaved, wearing a clean shirt, and holding a bouquet of my favorite peonies. If I didn't already know who he really was, I might have believed he was being sincere. Masha, my love. He jumped up and ran toward me. I've been so worried. Why weren't you answering your phone? Don't come near me, I said, stepping back. We both know what this is. Why are you here, Igor? What are you talking about? He said. I'm your husband. I should be here for you in your grief. I'm so sorry about the awful things I said. I was stressed, overworked. I didn't mean them. You call my mom a village cleaner, I said coldly. You refused to go to her funeral. That alone is reason enough for a divorce. His fake charm disappeared instantly. Divorce? Are you insane? We've been together for 4 years. We're a family. Family? I scoffed. For 4 years. You were ashamed of me. Ashamed of where I come from. You made me pretend to be someone else. That's not a family, that's a show. I made a mistake, he said, reaching for my hands. I pulled away. But we can fix this, Masha. Think about it. We're stronger together. Your money and my connections. There it is, I said with a bitter smile. My money. You've already done the math, haven't you? How many billions, Igor?
He blushed.
That's not what I meant. Oh, that's exactly what you meant, I said. I expect you at the lawyer's tomorrow. We'll sign for a quiet divorce, mutual agreement, fast. And if I say no, he snapped, then we go to court, and I'll make sure it's public. All your shady business will come to light. He froze. You're bluffing. Really? Then tell me why Medtechprom is ending its contract with InvestMedG tomorrow. His face went pale. You wouldn't, that's my job. My whole career. And my mother was my whole life. You insulted her and tried to rob the company. So yes, I would. The mask finally dropped. You planned all this, he shouted. You hid everything and waited for the right moment. Don't flatter yourself, I replied. I only found out about my mother's company 3 days ago. But honestly, I'm glad. Better to see your true face now than 10 years from now. You'll regret this, he growled. You'll do what I say. He grabbed a vase and smashed it against the wall. You think having money makes you a queen? I pulled you out of the gutter. I made you into someone. Just then, a security guard walked quietly into the room and stood between us. Mr. Volkov, he said calmly, please step back. Igor's eyes widened. Who the hell is this? Masha, do you already have a lover? It hasn't even been a week. This is a security officer, I said. He's here to make sure you pack up your things and leave my apartment. You have 1 hour. Your apartment? Igor laughed. This is our place. Check the paperwork, I said. It's all in my name. And thanks, by the way, for that prenup you made me sign. You made sure you'd get nothing in case of divorce. Igor grabbed his phone, frantically searching. He found the agreement, read it, and his face went gray. He had insisted on that prenup 4 years ago, thinking he was protecting himself. But it had backfired. You know how sometimes, when a woman from a simple family suddenly gets rich, like she gets an inheritance from some distant relatives, the money ends up going to her husband? Well, Igor thought that would happen with us too. But what he didn't expect was the opposite, that I'd become rich, and he'd be left with nothing. This is fake. I didn't sign this, he shouted. I have a video from the notary's office, I said calmly. In it, you're convincing me to sign the prenup without reading it. Remember? You told me it was just some bank paperwork. He remembered. And just like that, he deflated, like a balloon with a hole in it. Masha, let's talk calmly, he said. We loved each other. You loved a pretty doll you could shape however you wanted. And I loved an illusion, I said. Thanks for finally showing your true self. Now I'm free. I walked into the bedroom to pack the last of my things. He followed me, begging, threatening, switching between both. The security guard stayed close by, not letting him come near me. You know what's funny? I said while putting photo albums into my suitcase. My mom wanted to get to know you better. She wanted to see if you were good enough for me. She invited you to visit us, live in the village for a while, see what my life was really like. But you always said no. Work, friends, some excuse every time. You just didn't want to get your expensive shoes dirty in the village mud. Masha, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Get on my knees? Fine, I'll do it, he said, and actually dropped to his knees. Forgive me. I'm an idiot. A jerk. Call me anything. Just give me another chance. It was sad to watch. A so-called successful businessman on the floor begging, not because he loved me, but because he was scared of losing access to my money. Get up, I said with disgust. Don't humiliate yourself. It doesn't suit you. The doorbell rang. The guard checked and then let in Andrei Petrovich, along with a young man with sharp, intelligent eyes. Maria Sergeyevna, Andrei said, this is Konstantin. He's the best divorce lawyer I know. He'll take care of everything. Igor jumped to his feet. Oh great, Krulev's here too? Trying to be your next husband already? Since he couldn't take over the company himself, he's going to do it through your bed now. Watch your words, Andrei Petrovich said coldly. Otherwise, we'll add a slander case to the divorce. Whatever. To hell with all of you, Igor shouted. You'll regret this, Masha. I swear you will. I won't let this go. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. What an unpleasant man, the lawyer commented. But don't worry, Maria Sergeyevna. With these documents, the divorce will be quick, especially with that prenup and his behavior. By the way, he added, I recommend changing the locks and adding another alarm system. I nodded. A new life needed new safety. The next few days were a whirlwind. I handled the inheritance paperwork, got familiar with the company, and started meeting business partners. A new chapter had begun. I was expecting a cold welcome. After all, just yesterday I was a regular housewife, and now I owned $1 billion company. But to my surprise, the employees greeted me warmly. You look so much like Lydia Ivanovna, said the head accountant, a woman around 50. Same eyes, same smile. She talked about you often, like we already knew you. Mom's office at the Moscow headquarters was simple. No fancy decorations, just the basics. Furniture, a computer, some files. On the wall were photos of employees, each one labeled with names so she wouldn't forget. On the desk was a framed photo of me. In one drawer, I found a letter addressed to me. Daughter, if you're reading this in my office, then I'm already gone. Don't cry, sweetheart. I lived a good life and did many things I'm proud of. Now it's your turn. This company isn't just about business. It's a way to help people and make the world better. Don't forget that. And trust Andrei Petrovich. He's a good man. There aren't many like him. I love you, Mom. At the board meeting, I was nervous, like a student taking an exam. Serious, experienced men and women listened closely as I spoke about my plans for the company. I talked about helping local regions, supporting young professionals, and staying socially responsible. Everything Mom believed in. You really are Lydia Ivanovna's daughter. The chairman of the board smiled. Same priorities, same values. We'll support you. Meanwhile, Igor was busy. First, he tried to cancel the prenup, but failed. Then he claimed I had hidden details about my inheritance and misled him. The lawyer just laughed. He signed the contract knowing he was marrying someone with no money. He can't complain now. After that, Igor tried blackmail. He threatened to tell reporters the truth about me. What truth? That I came from a simple background? I never hid that. 2 weeks later, the final blow hit. Medtechbrom officially cut all business with Investment Group, Igor's company, because they broke the contract terms. That one decision wiped out 60% of his company's business. That same day, Viktor Pavlovich called me. Maria Sergeyevna, he said, I have bad news. Your ex-husband has been fired for serious violations of corporate ethics. He tried to steal our client database to start his own company. Our security team caught him. We have everything, screenshots, video footage, witness statements. He paused. If you want, we can report him to the police. I thought about it. Mom taught me to be kind, but also to be fair. No, I said. Don't report him. Just warn all our partners about how he works. Understood, he said. By the way, he left a letter for you. I opened it. You ruined my life. Because of you, I lost everything. My job, my name, my future. But this isn't over.
I know things about you.
I know your mother didn't earn her fortune honestly. Get ready for the truth to hit the press. What nonsense. My mother was honest to the core. All the audits proved it. But Igor was so lost in his failure, he was ready to believe anything, even lies. The divorce was finalized a month later. Igor showed up to court unshaven and wearing a wrinkled suit. The polished, confident man he once was completely gone. When he saw me, he tried to say something, but his lawyer quickly stopped him. The judge, an older woman who looked tired, listened to both sides. Then she made her decision. Divorce granted due to the husband's fault. No claims to property. That was it. 4 years of our life, over with just one signature. As I was leaving the courthouse, Igor caught up with me. Masha, wait. Just 1 minute. Please. The guards tried to stop him, but I nodded and let him speak. I know you hate me, he said. You have every right. But tell me, did you really not know about the money? Did you really not trick me? Igor, I found out about my mother's company on the day of her funeral. Before that, I thought she was just a nurse. But even if I had known, it wouldn't have changed anything. Because you showed me who you really are. I loved you at first, I really did. But then everything became about ambition, money, status, and I lost myself in it. But no, this is who you truly are. I just didn't want to see it for a long time. Then I got into the car and left him standing on the courthouse steps. In the rearview mirror, I watched as he got smaller and smaller until he disappeared from sight, just like he disappeared from my life. Work fully took over after that. I threw myself into learning how to run the company. I studied production, met with clients, and handled tough situations. Andrei Petrovich was the best mentor, calm, wise, and respectful. You're improving fast, he told me after one hard meeting. Lydia Ivanovna would be proud. Do you really think so? I asked. Absolutely. You're not just in it for the money. You truly want to help people. That's rare these days. Slowly, I started to enjoy the work. Turns out I actually had a natural talent for business. I guess it came from Uncle Sasha's genes and the values my mom taught me. I launched several new projects. Making medical equipment for children's hospitals at cost price. A program to support rural doctors. Grants for young scientists. The media started calling me a social entrepreneur. They wrote articles and did interviews. But deep inside, I heard my mom's voice saying, "Don't get too proud. Remember where you came from and why this was given to you." And I did remember. I kept my life simple. I sold my big apartment and moved into a smaller one. No need for 4 rooms just for myself. I gave away the expensive clothes Igor had bought me, donated them to charity. I was finally being myself again. 6 months later, I received a strange handwritten letter. No return address. It read, Maria Sergeyevna, I'm sorry to bother you. My name is Olga. I'm Igor Volkov's ex-wife. Yes, he was married before, though he probably never told you. I want to warn you. Be careful. Igor won't stop until he gets revenge. He had already tried to ruin my life once after the divorce. Thank God, it didn't work. But you're richer and more powerful than I am. You're a bigger target for him. Please take care of yourself. I showed the letter to the head of our security, a former FSB colonel recommended by Andrei Petrovich. We'll look into it, he said shortly. And we'll increase security. They did a full check. It turned out Olga was real. She lives in St. Petersburg and works as a schoolteacher. She divorced Igor 7 years ago, after he tried to sue her for the apartment she inherited from her parents. He failed. Olga turned out to be tough, and Igor didn't take it well. First, he tried to cause a scandal in the media. He gave interviews, saying I was manipulative and heartless. But journalists checked the facts and refused to publish his lies. Then, he went further. He hired hackers to attack my company's servers. Our security team caught them and gave everything to the police. Igor got an official warning, but the worst came a year after our divorce. I was coming home from a charity event. We were raising money to buy new equipment for a children's cancer center. It had gone really well. We raised double the amount we hoped for. I was in a great mood. And then, I saw Igor waiting by my building entrance. He was drunk, unshaven, and looked completely unhinged. Where are you going, dear wife? Did you really think you could get rid of me? That you could destroy my life and live happily ever after? Igor, you're drunk. Go away before I call the police. Police? He laughed. I've got nothing left to lose. You took everything, my job, my money, my name. Because of you, no one will hire me. They think I'm a thief, a fraud. Your problems are your own doing. Now leave. I tried to walk past him, but he grabbed my arm. You're not going anywhere. We're going to have a little talk. I didn't know what would happen next. But just then, a neighbor came out, a young, athletic guy. Hey man, let her go. Igor turned to him. I used the chance to break free and ran into my apartment. I heard a struggle outside the door. Then the police arrived. Igor was taken away. They filed an official report and gave me a restraining order. He was banned from coming closer than 100 meters to me. You need to be more careful, the investigator told me. Your ex-husband isn't stable. I recommend extra security and moving. I followed his advice. I moved to a new area, into a building with a concierge and full video surveillance. But I didn't feel fear anymore, just exhaustion. Tired of this endless battle. When will he finally realize it's over? The answer came a month later. I got a phone call from Elena Arkadyevna, Igor's mother. Maria, I'm sorry to call. Igor is in the hospital. He tried to take his own life. Sleeping pills. An overdose. The doctor said Igor would survive, but his mental health was badly damaged. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't know what to say. I'm not asking you to forgive him, his mother continued. But maybe you could help with his treatment? My pension is small and the psychiatric clinic is expensive. I heard my mother's voice in my head. Be kind, my daughter, even to your enemies. I sighed. Please send me the clinic details, I said. I'll pay for his treatment, but only on one condition. After he's released, he leaves Moscow and never shows up in my life again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll make sure he follows the rules, I promise. After I hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. Did I feel sorry for Igor? Not really. But I didn't feel happy about what happened to him either. Just sadness. So many wasted years. So much pain. Slowly, life went back to normal. My company grew, and we expanded our charity work. I opened a medical center in my hometown, named after my mother. It was completely free, with the best doctors and modern equipment. At the opening, the Minister of Health gave a speech about the importance of social responsibility in business. I stood there, looking at my mother's portrait in the hall, and thought, see, Mom? I'm trying. 2 years after everything that happened, fate gave me an unexpected gift. At a medical conference, I met Alexei, a pediatric heart surgeon from St. Petersburg. He was tall, calm, kind-eyed, and had a gentle smile. We started talking about new treatments and the struggles of regional hospitals. He didn't know who I was. I just introduced myself as Masha from MedTechProm. Your company does amazing work, he said during dinner. Thanks to your machines, we've already saved dozens of children. Please thank your bosses for me. I'll be sure to tell them. I smiled. We dated for 6 months before I told him the truth. I was nervous, waiting to see if he'd treat me differently. But Alexei just shrugged and said, I fell in love with Masha, not the owner of the company. Nothing changes. We had a small, simple wedding with only close friends and family. It was held in the same church where we buried my mother. I felt like she was there with us, giving her blessing. Alexei moved to Moscow but kept working as a surgeon, now at our center. I can't just sit in an office while kids need surgery, he said. I understood. I couldn't step away from my work either. And Igor? Last I heard, he was living in a small town in Siberia. He works as a manager at a car dealership, married the owner's daughter, and has a child. They say he's changed, and he's ashamed of his past. Well, I wish him peace. Everyone deserves a second chance. My mother would have agreed. 5 years have passed since the day I heard those cruel words about my village mother. Now I realize that moment was a gift. If he hadn't said that, I might have kept living in a lie, trying to fit into someone else's life. But instead, I found myself. I found my purpose, true love, and most importantly, I used my mother's inheritance just the way she dreamed. MedTouchProm has grown into a global company, but it still follows the values my mother believed in. Profit matters, but not at any cost. Helping people isn't just a nice idea. It's something we work at every single day. Over the years, we've opened 20 medical centers in different regions. We've given equipment to hundreds of hospitals. We've helped thousands of young doctors get training. And this is just the beginning. Sometimes I visit my hometown and go to my mother's grave. There are always fresh flowers. People still remember her and thank her. I sit on the bench, talk to her, tell her about my company, about my husband, about my little daughter Lida, who looks so much like her grandmother. I tell her about our dreams, our plans, our wins, and our mistakes. And I feel like Mom hears me. I feel like she's close. You know, Mom, I say while adjusting the flowers in the vase. Igor was right about one thing. I'm not his family's level. I come from a family that knows how to love, forgive, and help. From a family that sees money not as the goal, but as a way to do good. From a family that remembers where they came from and isn't ashamed of being simple. And I'm proud of that. The wind moves the leaves. The sun shines through the clouds. And I feel like I can hear Mom's voice. I'm proud of you too, my daughter. Live, love, help others. That's what matters. I don't live a perfect life. I make mistakes. I have doubts. But I live honestly the way Mom taught me. The way my village mother taught me. She turned out to be wiser and richer than all those rich, cold people in the big city. The story is ending, but life goes on. I have 2 kids now, Lida and Seryoza. They know their grandmother's story. They're proud of her. They understand that true wealth isn't in your bank account. It's in the good you do. It doesn't matter where you came from, but who you became. And that a mother's love can still change lives, even after she's gone. One day, Lida asked me, Mom, why didn't that man, your uncle, love Grandma? I thought for a moment, then said, because he couldn't see what really mattered, sweetheart. He only saw her clothes, not her soul. He saw her empty wallet, not her full heart. And people like that, they always lose. Because they chase the wrong things. Then what's the most important thing? She asked. Love, I said. Kindness. Honesty. Everything your grandma taught me. And you know what? I really am happy. Not the fake happiness I pretended to have when I was married to a rich businessman, but real happiness, deep and true. The happiness of someone who found her place in the world, who tries to make life better for others, who remembers her roots and is proud of where she came from. A month after that conversation with Lida, something happened that made me think about the past again. A woman I didn't know called. My name is Maria Sergeevna, she said. I'm a journalist. I'm writing a book about women entrepreneurs who changed Russian business. I want to include a chapter about your mother. Can we meet? We met at a small cafe not far from my office. Valentina turned out to be a woman around 40, with smart eyes and a warm smile. I've been collecting information about Lydia Ivanovna for the past 6 months, she said. It's an amazing story, but there are still a lot of unanswered questions. For example, how did a regular nurse build a whole business empire so fast? I smiled. Mom wasn't ordinary. She had a natural gift for business. She just never had the chance to show it before. Tell me more, she said. So I told her what I had learned from documents and from stories my mom's friends shared with me. After Mom got her inheritance, she only wanted to open a small pharmacy in her hometown. But as she studied the market, she realized Russia really needed good quality medical equipment. Her first big order came almost by accident. I remembered how the head doctor of the regional hospital had complained. He couldn't find decent syringes. They were either overpriced imports or cheap, poor-quality Chinese ones. Mom offered to help. She reached out to some of my uncle's partners in Germany, arranged a deal for their technology, and hired local engineers. The first batch of syringes was produced 6 months later. Valentina took notes and nodded. What about competitors? I'm sure they tried to shut her down. They tried, I said, but Mom was smart. She didn't go after the big cities. She started in the regions, and she offered things that no one else did. Payment plans, free warranty service, and training for hospital staff. The head doctors were thrilled. Finally, someone cared about their real problems, not just about making money. And your ex-husband, Valentina asked, he didn't know anything? I shook my head. Mom kept it all hidden. She registered the business under other people's names and was officially just a consultant. In the papers my ex-husband Igor could see, her company, Medprom, looked like a foreign business, with only a small Russian office. She knew he worked nearby and feared his greed. A very smart woman, Valentina said. What do you think would have happened if he found out earlier? I paused and thought. I think he would have tried to take over. He would have pushed me to get Mom to give him a top position. Then he'd start stealing, taking bribes, and ruin everything she built. Mom saw that coming and protected everything. Valentina then pulled out a folder filled with documents. I found something really interesting, she said. Your mom didn't just support medicine. She showed me pages listing an orphanage in Tver, a nursing home in Kostroma, and a sports school in Ryazan. And everywhere, Valentina said, she had one request, not to use her name. I flipped through the papers, and tears came to my eyes. She did so much good quietly without wanting thanks or recognition. And now, Valentina said, pulling out another document, this part is especially interesting. 3 years ago, your mom secretly paid for the treatment of a woman, the wife of someone named Pyotr Volkov. Is he, by any chance, related to your ex-husband? The journalist asked. I looked closer at the name. Yes, he was Igor's uncle. His wife had cancer. Their family was raising money for surgery in Israel. And Mom helped them, even though she knew how much Igor disliked her. She used to say, you can't fight evil with evil, I said softly. Only kindness can melt a cold heart. Do you think your ex-husband ever found out about this? The journalist asked. I doubt it, I said. His relatives probably didn't know who the help came from either. Maybe I should tell him, she suggested. I shook my head. Mom didn't help people, so we could brag about it later. After meeting Valentina, I went back to my hometown. I wanted to check out the new hospital building. But more importantly, I needed to visit the places that reminded me of Mom. The first place I went was the old hospital where she used to work. There I met Zinaida Pavlovna, the head nurse. She remembered Mom from her early days. Ladaka stood out from day one, she said as we sat drinking tea in the staff room. She was hardworking, kind, but had a strong will. I remember once they brought in a homeless man, badly beaten and covered in mud. The younger nurses didn't want to go near him, but Lita ran to help right away. She cleaned him, bandaged his wounds, and stayed by his side all night. She helped him recover. And when she got rich, did she change? I asked.
Not at all, she said.
She still wore her old coat, drank tea with the cleaning staff, and never acted better than anyone. Sometimes she'd disappear for a day or two. She'd just say she had things to do. Next thing we knew, the hospital got new equipment or we got bonuses. Of course, we suspected it was her doing, but she always denied it. After the hospital, I went to the old market where Mom used to shop. The sellers there remembered her and treated me like family. Mashenka. You look just like your mother, said Aunt Klava, who sold her vegetables. How's life in Moscow? I bet you're a millionaire now. Don't forget us little people. Oh, Aunt Klava, come on, I said, embarrassed. I'm just an ordinary person. Don't be modest. We know everything, said another vendor, winking. Your Lita helped the whole city. She paid for my grandson's heart surgery. She said she found a sponsor. But we know who the real sponsor was, and we keep quiet, because that's how she wanted it. Then everyone started talking at once, sharing stories about how my mom had helped them or someone they knew. That's when I realized half the city owed her something, and none of them even knew just how much. Some people she helped with medical treatment. Some she helped pay for their children's education. Some needed money to fix their homes after a fire. That evening, I was sitting in my mom's house with Aunt Lena and Katia, going through old photos. Who's this? I asked, holding up a photo of Mom with a man I didn't recognize. They were both young, smiling, and standing by the sea. Oh, that's Volodya, Aunt Lena said with a sigh. He was your mom's first love. They started dating after high school and planned to get married. But then he had an accident and died. Lita was heartbroken. Everyone thought she wouldn't recover. Then your dad came into her life and helped heal her heart. I looked at the photo and thought about how much pain my mom had gone through. Losing her first love, then her husband, living in poverty, feeling lonely. But she never gave up. She didn't turn bitter. She became kinder and even stronger. You know what she always said? Katia added, that every hard time is a lesson. If you learn from it, you become wiser. If not, life will teach it to you again, but it'll hurt more. The next day, I had a meeting with the city mayor. We talked about a new project, a rehabilitation center for children with disabilities. Maria Sergeyevna, this will be a big step forward for our region. The mayor said excitedly, your mother dreamed of building something like this. She even had the design made. He showed me the folder. My mom had thought of everything. A pool, special equipment rooms for therapy, even a small hotel for parents to stay in. We will build it, I promised. Just as she planned it. After the meeting, the mayor's secretary came up to me. Maria Sergeyevna, can I speak with you for a moment? She asked. I want to tell you something. 10 years ago, my son was hit by a car. He had broken bones and a head injury. The doctors said he would never walk again. My husband and I were in shock. We had no money for rehab. Then Lydia Ivanovna found out. She found a clinic in Moscow, paid for everything, even rented an apartment near the hospital. My son recovered. Now he's in college. We tried to thank her, but she just smiled and said, pass the kindness forward. That wasn't the only story. People stopped me on the street, thanked me with tears in their eyes, and shared how she helped them. One young man on crutches told me she had paid for his prosthetic leg after an accident. An old teacher shared how your mom helped fix their school after a fire. A young mom said your mother got her premature baby into the best clinic. And everyone said the same thing. Lydia Ivanovna helped quietly and never wanted attention. When I returned to Moscow, I kept thinking about my mom, about her life. She could have moved abroad, lived in comfort and luxury. But she chose to stay in a small town and help people. She chose to build a better future for others. And she was truly happy, deeply happy, because she found meaning not in collecting money, but in giving it away. While I was on the train, Andrei Petrovich called me. Maria Sergeyevna, he said, we have an interesting visitor. Your ex-husband sent a letter. He's offering his help as a business consultant for Siberia. He says he knows the market well and has connections. I smiled. And what does he want in return? A good salary and a chance to redeem himself. He promises to work honestly. No shady deals. What do you think? He asked. I think everyone deserves a second chance, but only with a trial period and close supervision. My mother would probably give him a chance too. I paused and thought about it. She always believed in people, even when they let her down. Okay, I said. Let him send a full business plan. We'll review it. But tell him clearly if he tries anything dishonest. The deal is off. That evening I told Alexei all about the trip and about the people I met. He listened quietly, then hugged me. You know, he said, sometimes I really wish I had met your mother. She sounds like an incredible woman. She would have loved you, I smiled. You're a doctor. You save kids. That meant everything to her, helping people. I think she'd be happy knowing you're carrying on her mission, not just in business, but in how you live. Later, before bed, my daughter asked me to tell her a story about her grandma. I told her a tale about a kind fairy who secretly helped people, made their wishes come true, and gave them hope. Why was it a secret? Lita asked. Because real kindness doesn't need attention, I said. It's like the sun. It shines for everyone, but doesn't ask for thanks. I want to be like Grandma too, my daughter said. You will, I whispered, kissing her. You definitely will. I still remember those words. We won't go to your village mother's funeral. That's below our family's level. Those words changed my life. They shattered my illusions, but they gave me freedom. They took away fake love and made room for real love.
So thank you, Igor.
And thank you, Mom, for guiding me and protecting me, even as you were leaving. Your love and your wisdom are the most valuable things you left me. Everything else is just a bonus.